Hello, everyone.
Gio and Joel show.
The Gio and Joel show coming to you live. Well, actually,
Yeah,
pre-recorded.
pre-recorded. All right, what do you want to talk about?
It's been a long time, my friend.
Let's come up with some football talk before we talk politics.
Okay.
Make it a football politics show.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
That's what my dad's been recommending. He's
So-
actually been pretty adamant about us recording podcasts. He wants us to do, you know, Kaze TV, right? Kaze TV.
No.
Yeah, you do. You know, he's the fat Brazilian guy. He does like commentary. You sent me an Instagram reel where he's with Endrick. He's like the fat white Brazilian guy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Hold on, let me. His full name is Casimiro.
Oh, Casemiro.
Not that Casimiro, not the player.
No.
But
What do you think of Dorival Jr.?
you know, I really don't know. I really don't know. I mean, he's been to so many clubs. I feel, yeah, you know.
Yeah, I've seen that guy. I didn't know his name, though.
That's the idea. That's the idea that my dad has for us. I'm so unemployed that my dad is pushing me into making podcasts with you.
Yeah, he's actually paying me to be here. It ain't much, but
Dorival, I don't know, man. I kind of miss Fernando Diniz because I thought that even though Brazil was losing, I thought that they had character, you know? They were like sort of back to their old selves. And I could see a philosophy behind the way that they played. But with Dorival, it feels too European, I think.
well, that was the issue that the FA had with Nice, right? Was play style, although nostalgic, wasn't playing to the strengths of these players who are professionally now adjusted to a European system.
Right. But I think Genie started to incorporate more Brazilians. And Dorival seems to be doing that too. Like Brazilian, like domestic league players, I mean. It's just that you need a lot of time to get people used to your system after they're playing in Europe and whatever. Maybe if Genies were given more time, he could have done something. But maybe not. I mean, the international teams only meet every so often. Anyway, I don't really know what I think about Dorival.
I think it is good that Dorival has worked with every Brazilian player at one point or another.
Yeah.
Due to his extensive resume.
Yeah. Yeah, he's hopped around quite a bit. But let's see. Who knows? I don't really know much about the Brazilian league, which is a shame. I should watch it more. But naturally, like, I don't know, I just gravitated towards the European hegemon.
There's a lot of hype that goes into these European games, and we do know that when you're watching the Champions League, you're seeing the best of the best.
Yeah. Right. But I would like Brazilian club football to sort of become more prominent on the world stage. I think maybe with this new Club World Cup format. Have you heard of this?
I've heard a little bit. I know that there's mixed opinions on it from the coaches and some of the players at big teams because they already play so many matches.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I understand there's only so many matches you can play, but I think like making a Club World Cup more representative of world football or more like the International World Cup, like the World Cup.
Right.
I think it would be to the benefit of like smaller leagues or less popular leagues around the world. I think it would be good for Brazilian football on the world stage too.
I agree with that. I think it's a nice way to introduce people to other teams and other leagues. And let's say we've got one of these big clubs like Man City, who is worried about the players getting fatigued. Then maybe the Club World Cup is a good opportunity to give some of your younger players a chance to start. And you might find a breakout star that way.
Yeah. Just get rid of the fucking Carabao Cup or whatever.
Yeah, I don't understand why England has 2 domestic cups.
Yeah, I think one is, I don't fucking know. I think one is like a knockout, or I don't know. They're structured differently, is what I know. What is it? The Carabao Cup and the...
Yeah, there's a Carabao Cup. I know the FA Cup was first. And I know the FA Cup includes more teams. So that should be the one to stay.
Oh, yeah, right. So one is for just the Premier League teams, right? And the other one is for all of English football, like every division.
Something like that.
I think so.
I mean, you can even be a semi-pro and play an FA Cup match.
Oh, yes, right. You could even score a goal in an FA Cup match. Or is it non-professional?
As a non-professional, that's right.
As someone who got all of his training on Harris Field.
That's right. Top scorer.
Yeah, top scorer.
Shout out.
Egregious Luigi's.
Shout out to Egregious Luigi.
Recently promoted to Prestigious Luigi's.
And then immediately demoted back to Egregious Luigi. I do want to ask you, while we're on the topic of football, what are your predictions, just general predictions? You can get specific if you want, for the Euros and the Copa America.
So I think Uruguay will reach the final of the Copa America. I have this strong feeling. They won the U20. Was it the U20? Was it the U something? One of the younger, U20 or U18. They won the World Cup, U20, I think. And they've been doing really well in the World Cup qualifiers. They're the only team to have beaten both Argentina and Brazil in the World Cup qualifiers. And they're putting on a very strong performance during this Copa America. So I do think that they'll get to the final, and I think Darwin will be the top scorer of the tournament. I think one of those two predictions has to come true. Let me think about the Euros, because we have some interesting matchups. It's going to be Spain versus Germany in quarterfinals,
which could have very well been the final.
Yes. It's going to be Portugal and France, another really good game, and Switzerland and England. England is fucking trash. England is the worst nation with the worst history that I have ever seen.
USA, baby.
Exactly. They got defeated by the USA in 1776.
A bunch of farmers and
fishermen. Some ragtag soldiers and a bald eagle perched on the shoulder of a mighty 6'4" hulking George Washington. And then they lost to they tied with Denmark, they tied with Slovenia, and they eked out a victory against Serbia, which could very well have, been a draw. And they almost lost to Slovakia in the round of 16. So England, it's a foregone conclusion. Switzerland's going to beat them by 3 or 4 goals. It's a foregone conclusion. Chaka's going to score in the 36th minute. We're going to have an Akanji header off of a corner kick. And
for the viewers at home, when I asked Gio to make a general predictions and said he didn't have to get specific, of course. This is him being general.
This is my general prediction. And let's see. Mainu's going to get a red card in the
what did
76 minutes.
Poor Kobe Mainu do to you?
I have nothing against him. I'm just telling you how I see it. But yeah, England's trash. And then let's see. I think Spain's going to win. I think Spain's going to win the Euros.
They did win the. What did they win recently? The last edition of the Nations League, right?
I don't know.
I believe they did. I believe they recently won the Nations League. The final was against Croatia, the same team who they beat in the group stages to eliminate them from
right
getting to the knockouts here.
Yeah. No, I felt sad for Croatia, but I guess they're sort of past their prime.
Yeah, this is kind of the closing of their golden age.
But I guess it's not so interesting to predict that Spain's going to win. So
there is one team that you've missed in your analysis that I think deserves a shout.
Portugal? France?
Austria.
Oh, yes. So tell me about Austria.
Austria had a very impressive, solid performance in the group stage, and I don't want to count them out just yet.
Yeah.
Give me a moment actually to check, but
yeah, I mean, they topped their group, right? They who were they in a group with? They were with the Netherlands.
They topped a group with the Netherlands
and France. Wow. Yeah, that's very impressive. I think Turkey is going to also be a pretty good test. Because in theory, at least from what I know, they sort of evenly matched sides, right? But I hope Turkey wins.
Also, I should add that Poland was in that group too.
Yeah, Poland also, decent side.
Respectable team.
Yeah, people were saying that the group with Italy and Croatia and Spain was the group of death, Group B, right? Yeah. But it seems more like the Group D with Austria was the real group of death.
No one expected that out of Austria, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised that they went through, but I was surprised that they topped that group.
Yeah, they had great performances. But my parents are going to Turkey, and they were supposed to be there today. In fact, it'd be great for them to feel the atmosphere if Turkey wins.
Of course.
I mean, those fans go crazy. I think before we die, we have to go to a. And who do you think reaches the final? I'm gonna say Spain.
I'm gonna say Spain and Austria.
And Austria.
I'm gonna say Spain and Austria in the final. If it's their day, we could see an upset, but I think Spain still closes it out in a very close game.
It's not a bad prediction, because if Austria wins this game, they go against the winner of Romania and Netherlands, right? And they already beat the Netherlands in the group stage. And then after that would be the semifinals against
either England or Switzerland.
Oh yeah. And that's not that hard either.
Yeah. I see them as better than both of those teams.
Topping that group. So I think it's a good shout. They'll reach the final. But as far as who I'm rooting for in the Copa America, I'm rooting for Brazil. Obviously. And then in the Euro, now that Italy is out, my dad won't like this, but I'm rooting for Portugal. Because, I think I like a lot of Portugal's players. They've got a good team. But Austria would be fun to watch too. Should we talk about our grievances with the state of the world?
Yeah, let's
politics.
Let's dive into it.
Okay.
So I'll ask you if you've been following kind of the budget crisis that's been going on in New York City lately.
Well, the only piece of information that I have is that the city council reversed the cuts to the libraries, and I got this information from an iMessage that you sent me a few days ago.
I think it was foolish to even cut the hours down in the first place. I mean, even the highest ranking consultants for the NYPD will tell you that cutting down hours for resources like the library has a substantial impact on crime and expense for police departments.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious. I mean, any public service that keeps people off the street for whatever amount of time, is gonna lower crime. Did you hear about the Supreme Court ruling that upholds this law that punishes homeless people for being in public, like for sleeping in public?
Yeah, I heard about this. It was a local law that made it illegal to be sleeping in outside public area.
Yeah. Supreme Court's been
They've been on a roll lately.
Yeah, there was the Trump thing with the immunity. There was the Chevron case that like pretty much castrates the administrative state, and there's this homelessness thing. I mean, like, what do you expect? That's really the end goal for conservatives and for these neoliberals, is to not only dehumanize but criminalize not having money. They make it impossible for you to get to the point where you can support yourself and make money, and then they criminalize the very condition that they subject you to. And of course, they're not going to provide, there's not going to be like an actual solution that addresses homelessness. Like, I mean, you could quite literally give people homes. You could do that. Like
that would be cheaper than.
Right. That is the solution. If there's a homeless person, you literally give them a place to stay.
Let's say you don't want to give them a place to stay. Let's say you give them a certain amount of income every month.
Yeah.
We talked a little while ago about off recording. We not on this session, but we talked in the past for our viewers at home about an initiative in Denver where a group of volunteers was collected. There were homeless people who were given $1,000 a month.
It was like 800 different people, right?
Yeah. I believe it may have been around 60% of the folks in this program, after several months, just by getting these monthly checks, were able to secure housing for themselves. So even if you don't give people housing directly, which, I think we should, if you're being a little bit more economical about it, you can just give people with a little bit more money in people's pockets. People generally want to look after themselves.
The same thing happened during the pandemic. Pandemic was great for a lot of people. I mean, we got money. We just got money. And when people don't have money, something that it turns out helps them out a lot is giving them money. Give the people money. Give the folks money, people. When I was on unemployment, I was raking in the dough, getting like $700 a week. And I used it to pay off my college. And the facts show, studies from this period show that people used the vast majority of people used the vast majority of the money to pay for food, for basic necessities, for housing, or for savings.
Education, paying back debt that they had, for medical debt.
Yeah, right. So, I really don't understand.
People weren't taking the stimulus check money and going on the street and buying crack cocaine and.
Yeah. I think,
And even if they were, even if you were able to pull out a data point that said 5, 10, 15 people did blow all the money on drugs,
yeah,
you're going to use that to invalidate the very real benefit that millions of people saw?
yeah. I mean, look, there's always going to be people getting crack. Once you do crack, you can never go back.
There's something almost Hunter Biden-esque about it.
I have a feeling that the Hunter Biden, like, I don't know, Hunter Biden's in the news, but it's already sort of like a dead talking point. Who cares? Who cares? But yeah, Joe, we watched the debate together. That was worse than I could have imagined.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when after the first and second time that he spoke, I think we were both visibly shocked.
Yeah.
At how this happened, how Biden's team let him on stage like that.
Yeah, my cousin had to stop watching after 15 minutes. He was too, like, horrified.
I don't blame him.
But I mean, we all knew that this motherfucker is old as shit. We all knew. And the establishment in the media and the political establishment in the Democratic Party tried to tell us otherwise. They lied to us. It's like the most bald-faced lie that you could ever imagine. Like, telling us to not believe what we're seeing with our own eyes and what we're hearing with our own ears. The man cannot be president. And now they're like trying to readjust, they're saying, oh, he was low energy. Like he, usually between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. is when he has the most energy, when he's the most vibrant and dynamic, and when he gets his work done. Well, if you can only operate between the business hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., you shouldn't be in charge of the fucking nuclear codes. Yeah,
the presidency is a 24-hour job. And currently he's putting in less hours than I am.
And I think the worst part about it was that vacant stare, that 1,000-yard
Well, I don't know
stare.
if he knew. He should have known that he's going to be shown on screen even while Trump is talking, but it's almost like he unplugged.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that do you think that he was just tired, or he was on anti-anxiety meds or something?
I think what happened was, I'm sure some of it is that he's just more tired at night. I think some of it is also, they do give him uppers to hype him up.
Yeah.
I don't think they gave him the wrong thing by accident. I think they gave him too much. Because
too many uppers?
Yeah, I think they hopped him up on too much of whatever it is they give him.
Well, how does that work? He went full circle?
Well,
or are you saying that he was crashing?
Yeah, they gave him so high of a dosage that he was probably crashing out, and then by the time some of it was wearing off, kind of aligned with how towards the middle part and later on into the debate. Better. Yeah, he got a little bit better.
Either way, we've been lied to.
Lied to, run amok, deceived, bamboozled, led astray.
And it's really not nice. It's really not nice, because these people think that we're stupid. They think that we're sheep. And I get, maybe that's true to a certain extent. I mean, some people are sheep. Some people will just believe whatever they're told. But most people can see what's happening. This guy needs to go. He needs to go. I think the worst part about it wasn't like, it isn't his old age or whatever. Like, he's a corpse, whatever, but I'll begrudgingly vote for a corpse if it means not getting a fascist in office. Yeah. But he's trying to out-fascist the fascist. Like he incoherently brings up like immigration and like illegal immigrants raping pure white American girls, and he talks about
even if he was able to complete his sentence and make that point, it was still just really odd.
No, I don't know. I just couldn't follow
I don't know what focus group even proposed to him that might be a good idea to try to connect his. I guess he thought he could strengthen his weakest issue by leveraging his strongest issue. But
it was probably like a contingency talking point for, if Trump brings up illegal immigrants, raping American women, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound really good because he doesn't like abortion, and he's going to force the pure lily white American women to carry the swarthy babies of their illegal immigrant perpetrators. But it just, he like preempted it, and it came out all wrong. And then Israel, of course, is a fucking mess.
I have to commend Trump for the first 2 seconds of his answer to Joe. Because Joe said that he brought forward this plan and that the Israeli government signed on, and it was Hamas that was holding up the deal, not agreeing to it. Although the terms of the deal a lot of them were very similar to what Hamas had already been proposing to Israel like 2 months prior.
Yeah.
So there's that to keep in mind. And then the other part of it is Netanyahu and the Israeli government has directly been saying, no, we're not necessarily signed on to this deal. So
right.
he's playing cover for
an Israel that doesn't like him or want him.
Yeah. But Trump responded and he said, actually, you're wrong. Israel, the force that wants to continue this war is Israel.
Mm-hmm.
When he said that, I was like, damn.
He said that?
Yeah, he said it.
I missed
that. But then he immediately afterwards said, and we should let them. And we should help them. Joe's trying to sabotage, and that's when he called Joe a bad Palestinian.
A bad Palestinian. This is
That was actually in the debate, though, that was one of Trump's more honest moments. He said that Israel is the side that wants to continue.
Right.
And he admitted his position to wanting to assist that.
Mm.
Because Biden would also personally be fine with the war continuing.
Right.
And he's trying to play both sides of this, showing that he's the most pro-Israel president, while also, trying to respond to his base. Majority of Democratic voters who say this has gone way too far.
Yeah.
Way back.
He's trying to thread, I don't know what he truly believes. I think he is truly, like, obviously an Israel apologist. But just in terms of political incentives, he was trying to thread the line between the donor class and the political establishment, the Democratic political establishment, and then his base. But he's really doing a terrible job of appeasing both sides. People who care about human rights and who care about genocide hate Biden, rightfully. And then people who are pro-Israel are also anti-Biden generally, because they see him as, like some sort of, I guess, moderate on the issue, which he is not. He's on the extreme right. But
it's important to note, though, that any resistance to the war movement in Israel, even a rhetorical resistance, is considered unfavorable. We don't hear about it much in American media, but there was discourse happening in Israel in response to the the bring them home protests. Well, not even protests. They're more so like political events and rallies that are, actual Israeli citizens whose whole purpose is they're centering the hostages. They're saying we need to bring our family members, our fellow citizens home. And there are people on the right wing of the Israeli government who say, you guys are distracting from us all being united behind eliminating Hamas. You're taking tension away. You're questioning our motives. You have to completely trust what we're doing.
Yeah. Which is so rich, because this whole point that we hear in this pro-Israel, pro-Zionist ecosystem is, well, if Hamas gave back the hostages, we wouldn't be in this position. Why doesn't Hamas just give back the hostages? Just give back the hostages and it'll be done. It'll be fine. Well, when Israelis try to center the hostage crisis, then the Israeli government suddenly is like, no, we don't want to talk about this. No, you're anti-Israel now that you're centering the hostages. We don't want the hostages back, actually. Israel is the number one killer of Israel, of the hostages held by Hamas. It's all a farce. It's a real tragedy that these establishment Democrats want to outflank the extreme conservatives from the right, which they'll never succeed in doing. It's a terrible political calculation, and it's a horrible thing to make political calculations when it comes to like moral questions like genocide and extreme human rights violations in the first place. But even from a political perspective, it's atrocious. But no, like fucking right-wing Israeli Zionists want to import the restrictions on freedom of speech to the U.S. That's why we have laws on the books in a shit ton of states that say that you can't boycott, divest, or sanction Israel. That's why we had that extremely, extremely unconstitutional and anti-First Amendment law against anti-Semitism. But defining Zionism as anti-Semitism, which is so very obviously wrong-headed in the first place. But even if it were correct, you should be able to say things that are anti-Semitic in this country. You should be able to say things that are racist in this country. You should be able to say things that are bigoted in this country. You shouldn't believe those things. You shouldn't say those things, but you should definitely be able to. That's the whole principle. That's the first principle that the country was founded on. And now we are taking very radical, fascistic measures to ensure the dismantling of that principle. People who say that Israel is like a democratic oasis in the Middle East are deluding themselves.
What I was thinking about is how you'll see people defending the actions of the Israeli government because they allow gay people to exist there, and talk about the homophobic nature of Hamas. But, well, one thing is that isn't gay marriage not even legal in Israel?
I'm not sure.
So if that's the case, then there aren't even complete rights for queer people in Israel.
Right.
But secondly, right now, the biggest killer of gay people in Gaza is the bombs that's falling on them.
Right. Just because, it's such a stupid argument. People say, like Bill Maher, what a slimy piece of shit. People like Bill Maher will say, oh, you're a liberal who has a bleeding heart for Hamas. But guess what? If you were living in Hamas land, you would be beheaded because you're gay, because you're queer, right? Okay. I don't want people to be genocided regardless of their beliefs. Obviously, no one said that people in Gaza might not have abhorrent beliefs, but does it justify genocide? Are we supposed to sit back and just say, "Oh, okay, so they don't like gay rights"? They should.
Those babies
Right.
might have grown up to be homophobes.
Yeah, those 13,000 children are say the F slur. We should
And the
bomb
number
them.
is definitely higher than 13,000 children at this point.
Right.
We gotta acknowledge that. The numbers, because it's been almost 2 months, I think, since there's been like a fully accurate counting. It's probably double at this point.
Yeah. Every talking point they have is
who's they?
Well, of course, I mean Zionists and like defenders of the actions of the Israeli government.
Ultimately, there's a lot of questionable stuff going on in the world today. You know, we didn't get to all of it right now.
Not all of it. Sometime later.
We'll
definitely do it.
We'll keep thinking about it, and the folks listening at home, you will hear from us again soon. So this has been the return of the Gio and Joel Show. Ciao.